I'm happiest in the saddle.
A fellow sportsman.
I am an FBI agent!
Great Scott!
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria!
Come with me if you want to live.
Hello, and welcome to Retro Ramble. I'm Charlie McGee.
I'm George McGee.
And this time we're bringing you our annual special of Review of the Year. Is it part one?
Yes, part one. We're going to split it because there's a lot to cover.
There's, 11, 12 months?
There's at least 11 or 12 months. It's not just films we're going to be chatting about. We're going to be throwing in some TV shows because TV streaming's so hot right now.
Golden age of television.
Nobody goes to cinema anymore.
I do.
Oh. Okay.
By myself. Yeah, in an empty room, because nobody goes. So, yeah, we're going to be going through what we feel are the year's blockbusters, which kind of fit the brand that is Retro Ramble. That's probably a few of them are still in the same franchise or universe of films that feature in retro. So we'll be going through the films that we've seen. We haven't seen every single film that's out there, have we, George?
No, because we have families, we have busy lives. So, yes, we see what we can. And going to the cinema is expensive.
Yeah.
And streaming's cheaper.
But and there is in this list, because to try and cover as many films, there are some films that I've seen that George hasn't, and vice versa. But not vice versa.
We're not going to be covering any films we haven't seen because that wouldn't make any sense.
I don't know, we could give it a go.
Just make it up.
Looks amazing.
I saw the poster.
So yeah, there'll be all of the big films from this year. So the likes of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. All of the we'll try and cover in one bit the Disney live action films.
Yeah, we're going to group those all together
and probably group the Marvel films together.
We have John Wick 3.
Yep.
Terminator, Dark Fate.
Yeah, I'm up because we've seen these recently. I'd be up for starting with something like Joker and Dark Fate to get us going. So here it is, the review of 2019. Enjoy.
One small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
So, The Joker, or is it's just Joker, isn't it?
It's just Joker.
Okay, so this is brought to us by the same director as Deadpool?
Not even close.
Oh no, sorry, the other one, the other X-Men Marvel-y, the guy who did Wolverine?
No, still wrong.
This is why George is the nerd with the words, and I'm the host with not the most.
This is the guy that brought us the Hangover trilogy, and old school, it's Todd Phillips.
Right, okay.
So yeah,
there's no links to any of the films I mentioned then?
Not even close.
Okay.
But we actually mentioned this. The news had just broke that they were working on this Joker standalone story by Todd Phillips on our Batman episode, which is one of our more popular. So Tim Burton's Batman, we talked about at
1989 Batman.
Yeah, and at the time it was alluded to that it was going to be produced by Martin Scorsese. And then there was rumours swirling around who was going to play Joker. And obviously with Scorsese, there was rumours it was going to be DiCaprio. And it's kind of weird. That kind of all went quiet. Obviously, Joaquin Phoenix was cast. But the whole...
Scorsese relationship with Marvel.
Let's not get into that.
I didn't know that he was in the frame. I know we probably talked about it, but I have no memory anymore.
But yeah, that was how it was pitched, and it was going to be starting because at the time, obviously the DC shared universe or DC extended universe, whatever they want to call it, was still going. I don't think we'd had the mess that was Justice League, and I don't think we might not even had Wonder Woman by that stage. So it was a very odd proposition of, oh, hang on, it's not it's a standalone piece, but it was exciting. But it's weird that the whole Scorsese thing has just dropped off, and it's still a Todd Phillips thing, but I think, it's quite clear from the look of the film that it's a massive homage to Scorsese. I would say almost, veering towards rip-off of Scorsese film. Sorry, I'm going straight in with the negatives, but it's very much wears that sort of Scorsese, Taxi Driver, Mean Streets, King of Comedy on its sleeve.
Yeah, because I don't know about those correlations, but I definitely, watching this film, felt very much like Taxi Driver was being. But I don't know. I just feel. I feel like we were discussing this. Yeah, was it? So that would have been what, 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does seem like this has been talked about for a while. I can remember saying that, not that Marvel have painted themselves, or at the time, into a corner, but that they are limited. The Marvel have a formula, that they do. Whereas DC, because a bit more fast and loose, and they've obviously got the Nolan trilogy, which everyone forgets. Well, probably not those in the know, but a lot of people may not realize that's part of the DCU and one of the most successful superhero franchises of all time. But they had a bit more room to maneuver. So this idea of a darker Joker did inspire a lot of interest.
Yeah, and I think we said at the time, I think it's a great idea, and there's plenty of great one-shot comic book stories. One of our favorites is Superman Red Sun, which is the whole spinning idea of instead of Superman crashing as a baby into Smallville, America, he crashes into communist Russia and is brought up as a Russian sort of icon in communist Russia, and it's a great one-off story, and I think there's rumours that one day they may tackle that as a one-off film. I know they're doing it as an animated film shortly, and DC do have form on that, doing their
animated films are great.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's
so let's talk about Joker.
It's an interesting one. I had so many people come up to me, like, have you seen it yet? Have you seen it yet? And I think people were just, obviously me being a film geek, but a Batman geek as well, I think people were very interested to hear my thoughts. And so I did see it a bit late on in the day, and I think I was affected a bit by the hype
machine.
It was a massive hype train. Obviously, all the critics loving it. It had that standing ovation, 8-minute standing ovation at the Venice Film Festival, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it arrived with a truckload of hype, and yeah, one of my workmates said it's their film of the year. It's their favorite film of the year. So I went in with,
right, we're done, see you later.
Yeah, with high expectations, and they were mostly met. I did think it was a fantastic piece of filmmaking. I thought it was a great film, but I'm a bit tainted by that hype. I didn't think it was one of the best films I've ever seen. I did think, I say, it was at the times going very much through those motions of almost trying too hard to be a Scorsese homage.
Well, I think that shows two things. One, obviously your qualifications and background in film, and your love of Batman, is that you're analysing the structure of the film, and also I think you and I talked about afterwards. Well, I mean, first of all, I'd just like to say what I thought was great. Like, it is a captivating performance from Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, without doubt. And he should definitely be nominated.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a standout performance.
As you would expect, though. I mean, he is a phenomenal actor. He always has been. And it's obviously, it's a tricky one now. And it's something that people haven't really talked about, because obviously Heath Ledger's Joker, that, when we talked about Batman 89, it was a performance for the ages, Jack Nicholson's Joker. Then obviously, how do you top that? And then Heath Ledger did something different, and now everyone's saying, this is a different performance.
Poor Jared Leto. No, but it is that he's now, is because I get the feeling, I think, and this is without spoiling the film, I think a lot of people all agree that it's up there with Heath Ledger. It's an amazing performance, and I can remember seeing him on a talk show. I can't remember which one it was. This was a few days after, because he was obviously talking about the film. And there's just something about him. You will watch what he does. You've seen him play the villain in Gladiator. You've seen him play other. And what's that? Is it? No, I want to call it Dog Soldiers. It's not Dog Soldiers. What's one set in Germany?
Buffalo Soldiers.
Buffalo Soldiers. That's a
I was going to say he does,
but he picks his projects.
But yeah, he's great at doing comedy. Like I forget, probably because I haven't seen it for a long time. But he's the almost like the comedy relief in Signs. The M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong film.
Yeah, with our friend Mel Gibson.
Mad Mel. But yeah, it's an amazing performance. I mean, he's lost loads of weight. It's such a transformation and such a key strength. But for me, the thing I also thought was, whilst yes, it's the it is a Scorsese homage, but I thought the cinematography and location stuff was to evoke that sort of grimy, deserted New York feel. I thought it was, brilliant look and feel to the film.
No, I think that's the one thing, because we can't go into too much detail because obviously it's a very recent film, but I would recommend people go and see this film. I think it's a great performance. It's beautiful cinematography, great score. And it's a great film, but I think what George and I agree on is, and this was actually doing the rounds before the film came out. Everyone was making jokes about how in 1989 the Joker was made by being dropped into acid, and in 2000 and when was it? 2004 or 2008 for the Dark Knight trilogy, the Joker was created through crime, and now it's just like introduce him to society.
Yeah,
and there is a bit of that going. I think that's where you and I said it's kind of. Well, I think we can't really talk much more about it without talk, because that's the arc. It's how does he become the Joker?
Well, no,
and I think we disagree on that being a good. It's a very good story, but it's maybe not. And it's different. It's original. But we're not sure if this type of origin story kind of fits in with what we know in terms of our love.
Yeah, I would say it's, it harks back to it's a one-off interpretation. It's not a definitive origin story for the Joker, because for my history, I mean, I'm not the biggest comic book reader, but I've read, I remember I got a comic book sort of compilation of Joker stories, and literally from the 40s to early 90s, and
arguably the favorite villain in all comics.
But the thing is that it sort of runs through all these different interpretations, and it's the same as Batman. It goes through sort of camp, dark, and and that's a great. They are malleable characters and can go through different iterations. But Joker is always portrayed and very brilliantly done in the Dark Knight Christopher Nolan film as a mastermind. He's crazy, but he's also he's an absolute genius. And if anything, being critical of The Dark Knight, they lean into it a bit too much, that he's almost like, he's...
I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah, he's thought of everything. He's thought of like a little bit sort of like, how did he predict that? Whereas in this, it's, as you say, he becomes Joker as a victim of a horrible society that treats him badly, and he's a victim of circumstance rather than a criminal genius. That's cray-cray.
Okay, so...
and also it's got the other thing I liked, I thought we had a fantastic score by Hilde Godete, and I think that's the same person that did the soundtrack for Chernobyl.
And can we... it's not a spoiler in any way, but can we just say... what's he called? Is it Thomas Wayne? Loved him.
Yeah.
I love the fact that because obviously it's Bruce's dad. I love the way that he's enormous. They picked an actor and he's wearing a big coat.
Yeah.
So it's just like this silhouette of Batman. I just thought it was very well handled without having to. I think the way it deals with the Batman universe without Batman, much better than say Suicide Squad or anything else, or the Gotham series. I think it's much better than either of those. It dealt with the fact that Batman's not in the film much better than they have.
Definitely.
So that was Joker.
Send in the clowns.
Next up, it's Terminator Dark Fate. Or is it just Dark Fate? No, they need the brand name, don't they?
Dun 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 dun.
I'm going to help you change the future.
Did we see this together?
No, we saw it very close.
I think I remember as us seeing it together.
This is a very, it shows that Charlie and I almost share a hive mind. I think we saw it on the same evening. Both of us saw it in 4DX.
Yes, we did. That is true.
And
so it's a really immersive experience that makes you think your friend is there next to you.
Yeah, and if
we talked about it afterwards as well on WhatsApp. So
yes, so if you're not familiar with 4DX, it is basically a bit like a theme park ride. So
have you been to Futurama in southern France, in Poitiers?
Futuroscope.
Futuroscope, where they basically chuck you about.
Yeah, it is a bit like so the chairs react to what the action's going on screen. You feel you're getting sort of beaten up, your back's getting pummeled, you're getting sprays of water, gusts of wind. It's four senses apparently, or maybe
four-dimensional, breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. So
this obviously also comes up when we talk about Last Blood, but let's focus on Terminator for now.
Yes, and we both saw Alita: Battle Angel in 4DX as well.
That was great fun. That was like a roller coaster ride.
Again, we'll talk about that later on. So yeah, Terminator: Dark Fate. Again, I think we touched on this. Maybe I think in our Aliens episode, we were talking about James Cameron. And this has been on the cards for a while because the rights had reverted back to James Cameron, and it was a bit like how I cursed myself with talking about Predator and Shane Black. It's like, well, if anyone can make Predator work again, it's Shane Black. How wrong was I? So yes, this is produced and story by James Cameron, but it's directed by Tim Miller, who did Deadpool.
Thanks. I'm glad my brain actually got something right. Just got the whole film connection wrong.
But whilst it's a story by James Cameron, there were 5 different writers working on this.
Typical.
So this is, for anyone that's not familiar, it's being billed as a direct sequel to T1 and T2. So it's scrapping all the sequels, series and spin-offs that we've had for the past 20 almost 30 years.
Forget about that.
That's all been scrapped, and this picks up this is based that sort of it does literally pick up sort of a year or two after Judgment Day the film Judgment Day has happened.
Yes,
with quite a controversial opening.
Yes, and which was spoiled for me online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, someone put up a picture and it had a picture of, and that's why we're not going to spoil it. But someone had put a picture basically lifted from Terminator 3, which basically, and it had text on it, and you start looking. I was like, "What's this about Terminator 3?" And it was ruining.
Okay.
But it is only the first scene, so let's not.
Yeah.
It didn't. But I could see. I
can understand why they do it for story reasons.
Yeah, and it's a great. I think that's what we can talk about in terms of this film. I don't know what your feelings were about it, but we both enjoyed it. It's a good film. Yes, which is weird to say about a Terminator film.
Yeah, I went and saw it with two close friends who also, we'd all grown up watching the Terminator films together, and yeah, we all enjoyed it. I mean, as you and I have talked about it, I think maybe our enjoyment may have been influenced by the 4DX. Watching it in this, in the 4DX chairs does, especially in an action film of that caliber, it does make it a really. I know.
4DX was made for car chases.
Yeah, I'm sort of repeating myself, but an immersive experience. It's a fun homage to the Cameron films. If anything, it's a little bit too familiar. It is playing. It's another car chase. It's another industrial set showdown.
Linda Hamilton's back.
Yeah, I even said to one of my friends as it was happening, it's like, what are the odds it's going to end up in some sort of warehouse machinery based sort of type thing? But it's got some great action.
Set pieces are brilliant.
Yeah, as you say, that car chase that it kind of opens with is phenomenal. Again, maybe influenced by the 4DX, but I think the action scenes, Tim Miller is a phenomenal action director. His background's in VFX, and I think Deadpool was his first official film gig, and I think it's his second film since Deadpool, because obviously... Yeah,
did he do Deadpool 2 as well?
No, he left due to creative differences.
Screw you guys.
It's got some great action, good performances from all the leads. I mean, there's been a lot of trolls online complaining about how it's, social justice warriors, that it's all, it's about empower, all these women characters, and it's yawn, it's boring, but I thought all the characters, it's great to see Linda Hamilton back.
Yeah, and I don't think you can get too angry about that, saying, oh, well, it's reflecting the sign of the times too much, sisters doing it for themselves. You can't complain about that when films like Bad Boys exist, where it's just really, it's the guys doing it for the guys. It's just as ridiculous as putting it, or it's just as relevant in a way. You can't complain about it having 3 strong female leads in a film and then say that, okay, well, having the same with men is okay. It's like they're both okay.
No, but and you can, again, I can see why I do it. How many Terminator films have we seen that focus on John Connor, Kyle Reese, a male protector? It's it's only, you can only do it so many times, and it would probably feel even more familiar if that was still the case. Great to see. I thought Arnie was on form.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that we I think we need to skirt around, but how Arnie comes into play, Arnie's Terminator. But yeah, he doesn't appear until about a good hour into the film, I'd say.
Yeah, I think he turns up late. There is some controversy around his backstory, and I think we agree with that, without spoiling it, that we agree with that controversy, but it doesn't spoil the film.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things you say, I think it is the separation between it being a good film and an excellent film, though.
Yeah.
I do think it is he's great in it, it's great to have him in it, it's a good film, and if they just maybe made a few tiny tweaks about his backstory, it would have been...
Yeah, well, I think you and I both agreed that there could have been a very interesting angle they could have taken with the spin on his backstory, and they didn't. They sort of made it as more of a throwaway. In a matter of a few lines, they delivered this backstory, and I
still can't understand why they felt the need to do what they did.
Yeah, but yeah, as you say, great to see him back, and
great lines, just great performance, great to see him as the Terminator,
great delivery, yeah, and. Yeah, I say
back with Linda Hamilton on screen, and them having the same sort of chemistry again.
And yeah, I think if a lot of the critics were saying it's the best sequel since T2, which is damning it with faint praise. But again, you and I have talked off screen or off mic, whatever we want to call it, and I think we've all found you and I both found things that we like we're big Terminator fans. So I really enjoyed. I thought the ending of T3 was probably the best part. Again, that's another film that goes through the motions of trying to copy T2, but I thought the ending was bold.
Hits you, yeah.
I thought I enjoyed a lot of Salvation. Actually, the opposite. I thought the ending of Salvation let it down.
Weak. But that's a great film, and it's what we were kind of hungering for, was some time in the future with John Connor, seeing him
in the future war. Yeah,
and you had Christian Bale delivering a great performance despite being, and I think it kind of shone through. He didn't like the disorganization on that film, and that's why he's on record as having a bit of a rant. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think we just both agreed that there's just too much Jai Courtney in Genesis and not enough good writing, and some lazy...
The less said about Genesis better. And I don't think you've seen... Did you watch the Sarah Connor Chronicles series?
I haven't watched all of it.
I
haven't seen it to the end, so no, I haven't. I don't know the story. I watched the first few episodes, like, this is good.
Yeah, I watched the first series, and it was really good, considering the sort of the TV budget available. But I heard that it was the second series ended on a massive cliffhanger, and then it didn't get renewed for a third series. So it's kind of a frustrating
when
thing.
That happens, especially since some really weak ass series keep going,
going. But yeah, I say overall it's an enjoyable action film. I don't think it's in any shape or form. I don't think it's a bad film. I say I had a lot of fun.
I highly recommend going to see it. If can I quote James Cameron? If you enjoyed Terminator 1 and 2. Now, I'm not going to do his sales pitch for Genesis, but yeah, if it's for anyone who likes either Arnie or Terminator or just an action film, go see it.
But the funny thing is that, and people are probably seeing this now, it's been a massive flop.
Yeah, because we have this directly from the horse's mouth. It is really flopped because of the distribution that was handled by Fox in Europe and in the States, because of when it came out and what it was up against. And this is good news, people, because it means that there should hopefully not be any more Terminator films, at least in Arnie's acting career lifetime.
Well, I think that's it.
We need to move on.
The audience have been burned by too many mediocre Terminator sequels.
And that's why it flopped. It didn't flop because it was a bad film. It flopped because audience fatigue. Yeah, absolutely.
And the other reason it flopped, it's seen as a flop because it had a 200 million budget. And again, I think we talked about this in our Terminator episode. Obviously, every single Terminator film since T2 has always tried to go bigger, go better. And the first Terminator was essentially a low budget sort of horror sci-fi film that was done for a pittance. I think I said at the time, the best thing to do to Terminator is to take that approach, go low budget, strip it back to its horror roots. But interestingly, you and I have recently watched Upgrade, which exactly does that. It's a homage to sort of 80s action sci-fi like RoboCop, like Terminator, and it's done on a tiny budget. I think it's done on $5 million. And
I am still thinking about this film. I think I saw it a week ago. I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great film. It's I think it was just released direct to DVD, but essentially, Upgrade is about a guy who's is
involved in an accident similar to not similar to RoboCop, but like RoboCop. He's involved in an accident, in a tragedy. He becomes a paraplegic,
and then he's given this leading tech that gives him the ability to walk,
and move his limbs
to be
kick-ass.
Ultimate human, essentially, because he's being powered by this tech. That's all we're going to say. But
the story is amazing.
Check it out. It's really good. I think it's made by the Blumhouse production guys, the guys that mainly do horror, and there are sort of horror elements to it. But it's a really good, fun, pulpy sci-fi action film. So
great effects for the budget.
Yeah. So check out Upgrade.
So it just goes to show you don't have to go all in, like with these explosions.
And just one final point on Dark Fate. They made such a big deal about Cameron coming back. The producer,
Linda Hamilton coming back.
But there was the fact, James Cameron presents. It's
and he didn't direct.
The producer of Avatar, blah blah blah. And that's the thing that he's even come out and said on record. Oh, I was never on set because I've been too busy with Avatar. So I did loads of video conferences and video calls, and Tim Miller's come out and said it wasn't. There was a lot of creative clashes between him. He wanted to do different things, but Cameron was very insistent on how the story should pan out. And I think, James Cameron is just so sort of immersed in these, endless Avatar sequels that maybe he should have been more present on set, but maybe he's just too much of a control freak as well.
Well, I don't know what the word is going about True Lies, if we're going to get a sequel to that, because I think Arnie said I'll do another one, and obviously Jamie Lee Curtis is still making films, and they both still look good. I'd love to see a sequel to that, and you could get an interesting.
I think Tom Arnold's still available.
Big guy, I'm good with nuts. No, I would love to see a sequel to True Lies with them now present day, and then you get some real kick-ass actress as their daughter.
Well, the actress that played their daughter, Eliza Dushku. She's still acting. She still looks good. I think she does a lot of like TV stuff.
That could be good.
Yeah. So but I don't think we're going to get Jim Cameron off Pandora anytime soon, unfortunately.
That is a shame. So anything else to say?
No, I'm done.
Okay, that was Terminator Dark Fate.
John Wick, excommunicado in effect in 3, 2, 1.
So next up, we've got John Wick 3 Parabellum. Prepare for war.
Johnny.
You want to know if I'm back?
People keep asking if I'm back.
So big year for Keanu Reeves.
The Keanu-sance keeps on rolling.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him in a film with McConaughey. But
he's had such a year, hasn't he? He just seems to be like...
Everyone loves him.
Yeah, such a... like.
I mean, we've done 2 podcasts on him this year.
We have. Was this where we did Speed and Matrix, of course.
Matrix, yeah.
Of course. He kind of seems... It's odd to sort of say he's an internet sensation, considering he's been around...
pre-internet.
Considering he's pre-internet. He's been around for, acting for almost 40 years. But, yeah, the man can do no wrong. He is beloved by everyone. He's in many memes. There was that whole thing where he came on to present that game. I know he kept saying, "Oh yeah, this game's breathtaking," and someone's like, "You're breathtaking." And he's like, "No, you're breathtaking." Yeah. I mean, he just seems to be the nicest man in Hollywood.
Can't do a bad interview.
He just genuinely loves working, and you and I think it's safe to say,
big fans.
We're big fans of Keanu. We're big fans of the John Wick series. Again, that's something that's had its sort of
the Jerry actioner that works.
Yeah, the Jerry.
It's not even geriatric, really.
But
it's only a few years old.
As we were talking about on Terminator Dark Fate, in terms of low budget, that John Wick started off as a low budget or at least a small budget action film that's become this sort of juggernaut, this accidental franchise in a way. I think people were kind of assuming it to be a one and out sort of type thing, and maybe that's
because at that time he was trying to find his way back in a bit, because he did the samurai thing, and he did the Street Kings, which is good, but it's a B movie. It's kind of, have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen Street Kings.
It's a kind of a Coplandy sort of, but a B movie version.
Yeah.
But he's good in it, and it's a good film, and he's a bit of more of an antagonist than a protagonist in it.
Okay.
And then he did this. It was a few other films that just didn't do it, and then John Wick just took off.
It's put him back on the map, and I think now there's rumours that I think Marvel have had talks with him. I think Marvel are trying to steal him.
Well, he's in this game that's coming out, Cyberpunk 2077. He's a character in that. Obviously, he's going to pop up when we talk about the Disney films, because he's in Toy Story 4.
Exactly, yeah. So,
Bill and Ted's is getting made.
Bill and Ted's, it's out next year. So, it is very much, he is sort of back in the spotlight. But, let's talk about John Wick 3. So,
would you like some more?
Yeah.
Yes. What would you like more of?
It is very much more of the same, but when it's this caliber of action, it's totally worth it.
From, I think, somebody who's going to go down in history as the man who put Michael Bay out of business, the Chad.
Yeah, Chad Stahelski.
Should we just keep saying it? Say it really quickly.
Yes, Stahelski. Let's just call him the Chad. But yes, who we've talked about previously was Keanu's stuntman on the Matrix films. So they met on the Matrix, and he's always had that stunt background, but he's turned into a phenomenal action director.
He knows what we want to see, and he knows how to make it physically. He knows how to shoot it. He knows how to light it.
None of this shaky cam, quick editing shit. It's properly lingering on the choreography, and it's almost balletic. It's almost musical in its way.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's
very similar to the Raid films.
Yeah, how can we do this differently? How can we make it look good, interesting, and original, but with
brutal.
I was just going to say with some real heft. You feel every punch, every hit, every shot. And in this film, we've got Halle Berry turning up with her lovely little doggies, who are pretty brutal.
Yeah, so I think the thing is with the John Wick franchise, the first one obviously teases this sort of, it's almost like an alternate sort of reality, this mythical world of assassins and paying in the gold coins and stuff like that.
They've got their own currency, they've got their own hotel.
And obviously, they've expanded it into John Wick 2. In this one, the building, there's
very
more,
well. I think you have to hand it to John Wick 2 that the universe building is done quite. Yeah, you can see that other sequels struggle, but they just take some things from the first one and expand on it very, very, very cleverly.
Yeah, so the world building is good. I would say the story isn't as good in this one. I mean, the action is phenomenal, and the fact that it's that opening in, I think, is in a gun and knife shop, an antique,
it's a museum,
an antique knife museum and weapons museum is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. You've got him being chased on he's on a horse.
Yeah, the stuff that you've seen in the trailer. Yeah, he's got a. It's. I think what they have done is this film is held up because you're getting the John Wick that you want to see, but in terms of freshness, it's the other characters that they bring in, the more time that they give to the likes of Ian McShane and I can't remember his name, the guy from The Wire,
Lance Henricks? No, Lance Reddick.
Lance Reddick, yeah. So he's
Mr. Wick.
He is seriously hot property. He is popped up in
Is he in Bosch?
Yes, he's the chief. He's the chief in all the series of Bosch.
All roads lead back to Bosch.
Everything is. Charlie's going to bang on about Bosch. But no, obviously he was in The Wire. He's a similar character in that. He's even popped up as a major character in a PlayStation game. Oh no, in a PlayStation game, Horizon Zero Dawn, and also I noticed he's in an Xbox game. Very big character. So he's everywhere. You know?
We haven't talked about the villain in this, Mark Dacascos, or Dacascos? Is it Dacascos?
Yes, that's his name. He is brilliant.
We've
Crying Freeman.
Crying Freeman. Yeah, he's in a lot of.
Remember Crying Freeman?
Yeah, he was in a lot of 90s
straight to video.
Yeah, a lot of 90s action films. So it's great to see him back. He's really charismatic. Mm-hmm. He's a great foil. It's good to see John Wick up against a formidable villain,
which has been missing in all the others.
Yeah, I mean he's beating up an old man in the first one.
An old stoned half cut man.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great to see, and I think you've got a couple of guys from the Raid are in this as sort of henchmen. As you'd hope with a film like this, I think each act has its amazing showdown, and it looks phenomenal. It's the cinematography, this like rain washed neon. But yeah, I think we don't want to sort of veer too much into spoiler territory.
No, there's nothing else you can really say apart from I think it's creating its own genre.
Yeah,
that will probably be imitated.
I'm not sure how sustainable it's going to be. I know they are making a series about the Continental, and I think Keanu's going to sort of pop up in that. John Wick's not going to be the focus, but they are again focusing on this
I love the idea of that you've got this Continental series going on with all of these new characters and all these new world building, and then just in the background is John dropping his bloody, turning up at reception in the background.
That'd be great.
That would be hilarious.
Just a little cameo every week,
and then just seeing people being thrown. And that's Mr. Wick's room. Yeah, that could work.
I'm not sure how I sort of rate it against the other two films, but it's a lot of fun. It's just I thought the story wasn't as good this time around. Yeah,
I think in terms of what you go to the John Wick films for, you get in this film. I just think in terms of as you say, the story and because I think it's public knowledge we're going to get another one.
Yes. Because it's been so successful. I think they pretty much announced it. I think it was like the opening weekend. We're doing John Wick 4.
Yeah. So I think
safe to say he survives.
So I think that's the only kind of shock. But no, I think I've got a big soft spot for the second one because I just thought I liked his. There was a lot about the story that I liked in that one. I
like the glow popping as well. I like the way he's traveling. Whereas the glow popping in the third one gets a bit silly.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make sense. But no, or it doesn't seem necessary. But no, it's a great trilogy so far, and it's going to be a quadrilogy. And God knows,
quadrilogy.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to say about John Wick?
No. I just hope the Coanaissance or whatever it is.
It's going to continue.
I see him. He's cropping up in SpongeBob SquarePants film.
The SpongeBob SquarePants.
Another film. But yes, we are. I think a little bit of a spoiler alert, but we are going to be for 2020 with the new Bill and Ted coming out. I think it's safe to say we are going to be covering Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, one of our podcasts next year.
Yeah, because we have.
It'd be rude not to.
It would definitely be rude not to, and I look forward to that. Right, so that was John Wick 3 Parabellum. So there you have it, part 1 of Retro Ramble's review of 2019. Thanks for listening. Part 2 will be available in the next week and will again focus on the other noteworthy films of 2019. Well, the ones that relate in some shape or form to what George and I typically cover here on Retro Ramble. In between now and then, we hope that you and yours have a wonderful time over the festive period. I'm Charlie McGee, I'm not George McGee, but we will both be back to see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.